What's going on, guys? Welcome on back to Second and Short in this week's edition of Tuesday Movers. Yeah, it's not Monday Movers. It's not whatever English word describes two words back to back with the same first letter, whatever that is.
Alliteration.
Thank you. It's not alliteration. My wife would kill me if I just didn't know that, which I didn't. So, but yeah, it's Tuesday Movers here, and we're a day behind. It's Christmas week for those in, the western side of the world.
Be weirdos out there.
Yeah, and so we're just kind of pushing things out a day later, giving you guys some content after, especially with how crazy this has been. We just finished watching, as time of recording this, the Pittsburgh Steelers getting taken down by the Cincinnati Bengals. It is crazy. Let's go ahead and start it off, though. I am Tyler Lauder. He is Aaron Ben. And on Thursday night, we had an AFC West divisional game, a team, the Raiders, that is on the verge of making the playoffs, the Chargers, who are just trying to avoid Anthony Lynn's coaching, and Derek Carr goes out, the 5 passes in, and Marcus Mariota, next man up, and that's our up for today. Marcus Mariota played really well.
Yeah, that's my boy. Even though he's not on the Titans anymore, I still love Marcus Mariota. No one in the universe hates Marcus Mariota. Went 17-28, 226 yards passing. Had that just pinpoint deep bomb to Darren Waller. Had a touchdown. Had a bad interception that bounced off the receiver's hand, but he did make the touchdown-saving tackle. 9 rushes, 88 yards, and a touchdown on the ground as well. Almost got them to the win in overtime, but the Raiders defense just would not let them.
No, it would not at all. And this Chargers team is resilient. We saw Justin Herbert pretty much just say, Anthony Lynn, don't talk to me. I got this. And that's what happened. He took him to victory. But Marcus Mariota, major up for us this week. Actually, fun little fact, I was doing some shopping, Christmas shopping, and I was at a store and I saw an autographed Marcus Mariota jersey. And if I was a rich man, I would have bought it for you right there, man. But I am unfortunately not.
Kind of a dick move.
Yeah, I shouldn't have told you, and getting it down for us is the Las Vegas Raiders' playoff dreams. 2 games left in the season. They're down 2 games. I don't know how tiebreakers work, but relying on every team in front of you to lose only for you to win is a hard thing to do. You have no control over your destiny. You have to hope that the other teams play bad. This Raiders team started off 6-3, and they have now lost 4 of their last 5.
Yeah, and it's a large part to do with their defense, but it's just a lot of these late season collapse that you see with some teams, or you can chalk them up to bad coaching, and whether that's just the defense or John Gruden also holds some of the responsibility, I'm not sure, but it's something that they really do need to address by next year, or I think Gruden will probably be gone.
Yeah, I think the Raiders have a lot of pieces ready. They beat Kansas City this year. I think they are a team that is just making little mistakes here and there. Things are getting in their way. Now, moving on to, the very first of this year of 2020, special Saturday night football. We had 2 games on Saturday, an afternoon and a night game, and they were completely different games. One was a blowout the whole time. One was like a first half domination, but was a good game at the end. Buffalo, Denver, Josh Allen gets enough for us here. This guy had a couple weeks where he was out of the MVP category, the conversation, and now the Buffalo Bills have secured their first division title since 1995.
Right, and Buffalo fans are crazy about this guy. My older siblings are Buffalo fans, and the love Josh Allen is getting from them, and for good reason too. He is in the MVP category, even in the MVP conversation, even if he's not the front runner. Yeah, and he's completely turned this franchise around, so big ups to him. 350-plus yards last night, 2 touchdowns in the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground, and like you said, that division championship.
Yeah, I think actually your nephews are getting their name legally changed to Josh Allen Ben, right? Is that how that's going to go? Just because they love him so much?
It's kind of confusing because my brother's name is Josh, so we'll have multiple Josh Bens, but that's fine.
That's all right. Josh, Allen, whatever, as long as it's there. But, this Denver Broncos team, over the past 15 years, they've always been looked at as a team that has a couple things. They always have a good running back. Doesn't matter who's there. They're able to run the ball. He's going to get 1,000 yards. They always have these older quarterbacks. It's a carousel there. You don't really know who's going to be quarterback every year. Sometimes it works out. But the thing that's always constant with them is their dominant pass rush. Ever since Von Miller was drafted over 10 years ago, And now, I mean, where was it? They got one sack, pretty much no pressure on Josh Allen.
Yeah, and I mean the Bills have a pretty good offensive line, but just to get that one sack, and they let him stand back there all day finding his open receivers. It was just, I mean, I know they don't have Von Miller this season, but even without him, they've been at least pretty good this season. So to see them just get almost zero pressure on the quarterback was pretty disappointing from them.
And now moving on to our second Saturday night game, we had the Green Bay Packers hosting the Carolina Panthers. And man, the first half is a tale of two different halves. First half, Green Bay came out 21-3, completely dominated. Carolina had an opportunity to get a touchdown, which we'll talk about here a little bit later. But Aaron Rodgers didn't look himself. But the guy that was consistent the whole time, who's getting it up for us, is Aaron Jones. That guy carried the load and was dominant against this, bad Carolina rush defense.
Yeah, and you kind of knew it was coming. You kind of knew that Green Bay would be able to run the ball given this defense. But, I mean, you wouldn't imagine Aaron Rodgers doing a bit better. But Aaron Jones kind of carried the team, 20 carries, 145 yards, and a touchdown. So that's kind of our up for this game. But talk about our down, Tyler. You touched on it earlier.
So Teddy Bridgewater gets a down for us here. And as I referenced in the first half, Carolina had, they were on the goal line. They're literally inches away from scoring. And if you're a Carolina Panther fan over the past 10 years, all you got to know is like, oh, Cam Newton, he just literally hikes the ball, reaches across, touchdown. Every time. And Teddy Bridgewater tried doing that, and he fumbled, which shifted momentum major. I mean, this game ended on a one-score loss. If they had that touchdown, they don't kick the field goal with 2 minutes left. They go for a touchdown. They're winning with less than 2 minutes left in this game. We're not even talking about his stats there. Carolina has 10 losses on the year. 8 of those losses are by one score. We're going to reference this in the offseason. Teddy Bridgewater has had the ball for the final drive in all 8 of those losses. They have had 3 missed field goals, not his fault. They've had a turnover, and then they've had 4 turnover on downs. Like, this is just bad. Teddy Bridgewater is not delivering. He's not clutch. Fans are getting livid right now. They're getting upset. Carolina is now
rioting in the streets.
Come the NFL draft, we're going to see a major move on if this front office believes in Teddy Bridgewater, but he gets it down for us here just due to another non-clutch performance.
The anti-Tom Brady.
Moving on to Sunday's action and Tom Brady's former team, the New England Patriots went up against the Miami Dolphins. And, this team, the New England Patriots, had an opportunity to do so well in this game. They moved the ball a lot. However, Miami ran the ball a lot better, and the whole Dolphins run game gets a huge up for us here. Breida, Ahmed, talk about them.
Yeah, Breida and Ahmed combined for 208 yards and a touchdown. This is from a team that this week put up 250 yards rushing, 2 added 2 on the ground. This is a team that was last in the league in yards per carry this season. So to see them putting up 250 yards on the ground against a pretty good Pats defense is pretty impressive in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, and we've been talking about this, and it's not just we. Everybody in the world's been talking about this for the past forever. Rookie quarterbacks have 2 best friends: a really good run game and a reliable slot receiver or like receiving tight end, somebody that can catch in those intermediate routes. And the run game here, with how well this defense has actually been playing, is perfect timing for a playoff run. We see all the time that you don't need great quarterback play to win the Super Bowl. Yes, I know Kansas City just did it, but a really good run game and a good defense can win you the Super Bowl 9 times out of 10. Now, on the flip side of that, getting it down for us is the Pats finishing drives. As I referenced, 4 different drives got inside the Dolphins 30, and they came away with 4 field goals. If 2 of those are touchdowns, this game is completely different.
Right, and this isn't even just this game. It's going back to last game where they only scored 3 points against the Rams. That's 2 games in a row where they have 5 field goals and 0 touchdowns. They got to finish drives, and that's a lot of points you're leaving on the field. And like we saw, it can change games. It results in losses.
Yeah, and they're out of the playoffs right now, but everybody on this team is still fighting to show that they have it. Cam Newton is still fighting for getting a new contract next year, and whether it's with New England or somebody else, they're still fighting. And Bill Belichick doesn't want to go out, with a losing record. So I expect this Patriots team to kind of turn it around and fix these things. Something to note that we'll keep track on is Cam Newton is on the verge of a running record for quarterbacks. He has 11 rushing touchdowns on the year. The record is 14 rushing touchdowns in a single season by a quarterback that he set back in his rookie year. Just something to note over the final 2 seasons. Everybody loves record watch, no matter who it is. Adrian Peterson is, top 5 in multiple categories as well. He's chasing that as well. But let's move on to another game, which is going to be the Jags versus the Baltimore Ravens. And this game was exactly how you would have predicted it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone predicted anything different. Up for me in this game is, I guess, it's the Ravens pass rush. I mean, the Jags offensive line isn't great, but they did get the Ravens still got 5 sacks. They had pressure on Minshew all day. For a young quarterback, pressure is what kind of throws you off your game. And then Judon had that sack in the end zone for a safety. So big up to the Ravens pass rush.
It was a momentum shift. The first points of a game or a safety, any game, it's going to be a good day for your pass rush. And this Jags team did everything correct. Now, they didn't know they were doing everything correct by losing, but I mean, knowing what we know today with the Jets winning, the Jags have the number 1 spot. Now, what's going to be really interesting to see here is that if this Ravens team can hold on to that 7 seed, like I said, they've got to win 1 game, they're in. If they lose out and the Raiders win out, the Raiders could be in. So it's going to be crazy. But what went down here was James Robinson in this Jags rushing game. And he's been so good this year. The whole rushing offense has been pretty good. And they didn't put up anything on offense for them.
Yeah, final stat line I think for the rush game was 22 carries for 62 yards. That's 2.8 yards per carry. James Robinson, that standout rookie running back, star rookie running back, it just didn't get anything done. Offense, the Jags offense on the day hardly could move the ball, but the run game especially was kind of pitiful.
Yeah, it was, and going forward, this Jags team loses out. They get the number 1 pick. They get Trevor Lawrence, or they get whatever they want. They get a king's ransom. I think that this Jags team, this run game, is going to look to play out because James Robinson is playing to show that he is their starter going forward, which I think he is. That's not a question. But Gardner Minshew, he is also showing that he is their starter going forward. It'll be really interesting to see what's going to happen. But Ravens pass rush gets an up, and Jags run game gets a down. Now, another divisional game we got going on here this weekend was AFC South action. Colts, Texans. And even though the Colts came away with the win, Deshaun Watson was a slight mistake from his receiver away from potentially winning this game. And Deshaun Watson is our up here today.
Yeah, he played, but just incredible against a really, really strong Colts defense. It put up 373 yards, 2 touchdowns, added another 25 on the ground, just carrying the entire team that is looking lifeless, doing it with receivers like Kiki Kuti and the shell of Brandon Cooks. David Johnson had a 100-yard receiving game. That's the kind of players he's playing with, and he's the only one that's actually looks like he's trying to win a game out there. And that kind of leads us into our down, because our down is Kiki Kuti.
Yeah, I mean, fumbling away a game-winning touchdown is the best way to get on our downs. And if there's any place you don't want to be in the world, it is on 2nd and shorts downs. Am I right?
Yeah, you don't get on our downside. That's right, Tyler.
Like Colin Cowherd and Stephen A. Smith fear our downs, man. And I think him getting here just kind of shows more of a reflection of the same thing we've been saying. If only Deshaun Watson had like an all-pro, Pro Bowl, top 10 wide receiver at everything he does on his team, aka DeAndre Hopkins, they would have won that game. I mean, you could debate they'd have won that game. This Texans team, will continue to say it, is better than their record shows, but until they get more consistent playmakers to support Deshaun Watson, they will not be winning any games in the future. Now, moving on to one of our home teams here on 2nd and short, and the Detroit Lions took on the Tennessee Titans. And this Lion team, you had to think was kind of scary going up against them at first because they have put teams on upset notice in the past. Matt Stafford, I don't know how this guy is even standing. He is going to be paralyzed neck down by the time he's 35, I feel. But the Titans came in and they took care of business, and it's a big thanks to Ryan Tannehill, who gets an up for us here.
Right, like you said, Matt Stafford's a warrior, but yeah, we got to talk about the Titans quarterback. And everyone's focused on Derrick Henry, and he had another great game, but Tannehill kind of was the star in this game. 273 yards, had 3 touchdowns, and then he added 2 more touchdowns on the ground, including kind of a long scramble for a touchdown where he dove for the pylon. And just a really great performance from the team, especially from Ryan Tannehill. The only player on the Titans offense I can say that did not play well, and he's not been playing well over the last few weeks, is their third string left tackle, David Quessenberry, who is a great story. Check it out if you want to later. He's filling in for some injuries, but he's been very suspect in pass protection, and he's the one that kind of gave up the sack in the end zone and Tannehill for the safety. It's hard to give him a down because he's playing way above his pay grade. Not supposed to be starting left tackle in the league right now, but just a slight down for me there.
Yeah, this is one of those games where really there's nothing else to touch too much on. We're not going to dwell on this too much, but yeah, when the biggest down you see is somebody giving up a sack and he's a third stringer, he's not that great. He's not a great pass pro, and he's given up some bad sacks in the past few weeks, but look for this to be a learning lesson and to move on going forward. Dallas Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers. And if the Dallas Cowboys win this game, they're still in the playoff race. And guess what? They won the game, and they're a game out of the playoff. Like, it is crazy. Right before the game, Zeke gets ruled out. Tony Pollard, you got to step on in. He steps in. He delivers. Next man up mentality. He gets an up for us this week.
Yeah, he played really, really good. You'd think they would have it kind of looked like they had the Cowboys offensive line from like last year or 2 years ago. He had just 12 carries for 69 yards, but he also added 2 touchdowns on the ground, had 6 receptions for 63 yards, and so that's just over 130 yards total. And he looked pretty good out there. I think no one's expecting him to come in and be like the next coming of Zeke, but he looked good in filling in for him.
No, he did. There's no question there. And I think that Tony, this is scary if you're the Cowboys, if you're playing the Cowboys, because if this offensive line starts clicking, Andy Dalton is competent enough. I mean, he made some bad passes yesterday, if we're being honest and everything, but he's safe enough. He's not going to turn the ball over too much. A good run game, and the Cowboys sneak in the playoffs. You never know, but getting it down for us here on the negative side is the 49ers and their turnovers. I mean, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and every single one of those turnovers led to points. And this is a huge thing for the Cowboys, because if you can get points off of turnovers, you can win games. For the 49ers, you can lose games.
I mean, if you're going to turn over the ball that much, at least try and play defense. Didn't happen. Moving on.
Seattle Seahawks took on the Washington football team, and this was one of those games where you had to, is Washington going to upset another team? And for the first time all year that we will ever say this, and maybe for the rest of the season, Seahawks defense gets an up for us. They played really well. Then again, they were going against Dwayne Haskins, who is our down. But talk about Seahawks first.
Yeah, you don't want to get too pumped up about this, but the Seahawks defense did bail them out. They held the football team to 15 points, got 2 interceptions, sacked them 4 times, including Carlos Dunlap, who's been a great pickup, by the way. He had a really, really clutch sack on 3rd and long to kind of seal the game for the Seahawks late in the 4th quarter. So big up to their defense this week.
Apparently, Russell Wilson said on the sideline is like, somebody's got to go out there and make a big play. And Carlos Dunlap said it was that Mamba mentality. It's just, I call my number, call my name, give me that last attempt to get a sack, and I'm going to go make a big play for you. And he did.
He did.
I thought you were going to lead on with Dwayne Haskins. So I get it. No, I get it. You're just going to sit there. You don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. Dwayne Haskins, gosh, I see why this guy's not starting in the NFL, bearing injuries. I think he is a decent backup, but he just makes some bad throws. There's some checkdowns he's missing. You're not supposed to miss checkdowns. I mean, there's some balls about 15 yards deep that a guy has, he's got an out route and he's wide open on the sideline and it's just overthrown. You can't do that. Dwayne Haskins gets it down for us here. Don't let those stats fool you. He was good for 5.4 yards per attempt. Chicago Bears, Minnesota Vikings, and oh man, poor Vikings fans. Where I work, obviously I live in a territory where there's huge Bronco fans, huge Vikings fans, and man, they were sweating the whole game, and they left as soon as that last kick was made. The Vikings were not happy, and it's in big thanks to David Montgomery. Chicago Bears running back has been on fire, and he gets a huge up for us this week.
Yeah, last week we talked about how Allen Robinson looks like the only player on the Chicago's Bears offense that looks like he's trying. I got to take that back. David Montgomery also is carrying this offense together with Allen Robinson. He had 146 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. It looked great. He really, if you can carry your team to a win with Mitch Trubisky starting at quarterback, you got to get big ups from me.
Isn't it kind of ironic that we're sitting in a place that like Mitch Trubisky is like as the backup coming in and winning games, and Nick Foles is sitting there just like it's role reverse there. And now with David Montgomery and the Chicago Bears getting that huge win, the big reason why is because the Minnesota Vikings weren't very clutchness. They did not have that Mamba mentality we just talked about with Seattle. 4 for 11 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down, and they had 4 goal-to-go situations and only came away with 2 touchdowns. In a game that was decided by one touchdown, it would have changed this whole game. That situation is porous. And when anybody looks at me, and you get mad at me, Vikings fans, and tells me Dalvin Cook's the best running back in the league, I look at things like this and I go, no, he's not. And granted, it's not all his fault, but if he's that good, you just pound the rock in. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, big players make big plays on big days, and no one made big plays on this day. And huge down for the Vikings and their lack of clutchness for me.
Can we trademark that? Is that Second and Short's quote? Like, is that our thing?
And I think I've heard it before. I don't want to take it away from anyone.
Cool, man. Cool. All right. Well, we'll just keep searching. NFC South action, and we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Atlanta Falcons. And before we tell you who's our up, I'm going to tell you guys a little story. Atlanta Falcons score a lot of points. It's crazy. Tom Brady can't win. What? Comeback. Largest comeback in Super Bowl history in the fourth quarter. That's crazy. Do you think that could happen again? It does. It happens again. Not as bad, but 17-0, they're up. And then even, Tampa Bay scores, Falcons are up 24-7. And they still find a way to lose. And you know why? It's because Tom effing Brady, dude. He gets a huge up for us here.
Yeah, looking like his old clutch self. 31 of 35, 390 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the whole season we've kind of been trashing his deep ball. There was a point when he was like 0 for 20 for long passes down the field. This week had a 46-yard game-winning touchdown to Mr. Big Chest Antonio Brown. So kind of proving everyone wrong. Also had a long touchdown. When was it? Last week, I think.
Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller. So Tom Brady kind of looking like he's getting used to Bruce Arians' offense and just chucking bombs.
It's got to be scary. Going into the playoffs, a team that has so many weapons all over the place, it's going to be scary for anybody to defend that. Now, getting it down for us here is, we're not going to talk about it much. I already kind of shit on him before. It's the Atlanta Falcons. And if you want to know why the Atlanta Falcons get it down, you know why.
Yeah, if you want to know why, then you haven't been paying attention to football lately.
Google's your friend. Just go and Google, why are the Atlanta Falcons so shit in the second half? And you'll get so many results. Sorry, Falcons fans. Now, from that, we get some Sunday afternoon action. All of our mornings are done, and we got 3 games, and they produced a lot of different storylines. In this first game that we're going to talk about here, it was the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Arizona Cardinals. We got the last 2 quarterbacks to play down in Oklahoma, going head-to-head against each other, and Jalen Hurts, I think, kind of outdueled Kyler Murray, even though the Cards got the win. Jalen Hurts stepped up. We told you he was a sleeper this week in fantasy. He gets an up.
Yeah, and he not only outdueled him, he outdueled Carson Wentz, and I'll tell you why. With 338 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 63 yards in the ground, and touchdown as well. He had over 400 yards last night. That he has one more 400-yard game than Carson Wentz does in his entire career. So that's kind of telling, in my opinion. He's looking like he's the explosive, dynamic playmaker that he was in Oklahoma. not looking like the project quarterback he was supposed to be. Big ups for me for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and you know, this Philly team didn't come away with a victory. However, they were in this game the entire time. It was an exciting game. If there was going to be a game that we would suggest that you go rewatch, I would say this game. I think it was fun from start to finish. I mean, there's some sloppy things here and there, but he's a rookie quarterback and a second-year quarterback. Nobody gets it down here. You know, we can't give multiple people up, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to power rank multiple teams up and give out participation trophies. Like, we are literally not ESPN power rankers, okay?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Moving on to the highlight of the weekend, the New York Jets take down the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, Sean McVay is a genius. This Rams defense is amazing. The Jets have been the worst at almost everything. Like, they don't even tie their shoes right most of the time.
Yeah, and I mean, whether you believe in the whole concept of tanking or not, you know the players got to feel good about finally getting a win and not joining that clusterfuck of the Lions and the Browns and winless teams. But the real winner here out of everyone, Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion. The Jags have, in my opinion, a lot better roster than the Jets, at least on offense. They have some good weapons. Keelan Cole, Michael Conley, Laviska Shenault's looking great. We talked about before, James Robinson looks like a great young running back to build around. So I think this is a lot better place to go to than the Jets, in my opinion.
Now, let's be honest here. I mean, yes, obviously, we think that he's a better fit for the Jags. However, we cannot discredit Sam Darnold looking pretty good here today against a really good defense. And I'm not saying he saved his job, but he's kind of putting more equity in himself. Even if he gets traded, he's going to look more desirable with having good games against good defenses.
Yeah, that's pretty true, Tyler. You're a pretty smart fella.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks. Shucks. Getting it down for us here is Sean McVay. Talk about why, Shawnee boy is just, this is disappointing.
Losing to the Jets overall is enough to warrant this down from us. But for me specifically, it's like a situation at the end of the game where you have 3rd and 4, you're at kind of midfield, driving down to make the game-winning touchdown, game-tying touchdown. And that you've been running the ball well down the middle all day. Quinnen Williams, that great defensive tackle for the Jets, is out. The run game's been looking great all day. And then you call deep passes down the field on third down, 4th down, and basically turn the ball over on downs, basically lose the game. So that's pretty poor play calling, in my opinion, and a big down from me.
Moving into our final game of Sunday afternoon action, it was the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the New Orleans Saints. Now, before we talk about this game too much, I want to have a beef with like the NFL. Like, why did you guys put Buffalo Denver on primetime Saturday when you had this game sitting in your hands?
Yeah, kind of a head scratcher.
I'm not saying this game like delivered the best game of the weekend, but just like looking at it, it literally is billed as a main event. And you just kind of like threw it down when everybody's hungover and tired on a Sunday afternoon. Kansas City Chiefs, Pat Mahomes. This guy's too good, right? Like I am going back and forth between him or Rodgers for MVP. Josh Allen's right there, but Mahomes looked great here against this Saints defense.
It really does seem like one week Mahomes has kind of a quote-unquote down game, and then Rodgers has a great game, and then this week Rodgers was kind of not as on point, and then Mahomes came in, threw 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against one of the best defenses in the league. He's doing all kinds of crazy shit. You saw him with like basketball chest passes, just kind of underhand tossing the ball for a 2-point conversion. That crazy pass to Mecole Hardman for the game-winning touchdown. Just, I don't know how he does it. He's crazy. There's no way else to describe it.
Pat Mahomes looks like a guy that got famous off of TikTok, and somebody was like, man, he throws the ball pretty fun. Let's put him on an NFL team, and he does well. Like, obviously, that's not what happened, but, I mean, if I told you that story in 10 years with how big TikTok is and how, like, music takes off on it, somebody might actually believe that and be like, oh, yeah, he does throw pretty crazy. And, with him getting it up, somebody on the Saints has to get it down here, because with him having that much time to shred this defense, and A 250-yard performance isn't like his best passing day, but he had time. And the reason he had time is because Cam Jordan didn't deliver like he's supposed to. And he was an idiot in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, the first 3 quarters you saw them actually kind of getting a good amount of pressure on Pat Mahomes. But then Cam Jordan is such a crucial player for that Saints defense. Just a stupid play, threw a punch against the Chiefs offensive lineman. Got ejected. Even he said himself, like, that's not what I'm supposed to do. Like, he took full responsibility. And I'm sure he feels partly responsible for their loss. So big down from a veteran player that's supposed to be a leader on that defense.
It is the funniest thing. In a sport that they have complete head coverage, people still throw punches. Like, I'll never understand it. Like,
it amazes me every time. I don't get it.
And yet nobody in golf swings a club at anybody, but whatever, one day.
Not here to judge.
Now, Sunday night action. We have the New York Giants, who just, they took down Seattle, and like they're leading their division if they get a win against the Cleveland Browns, they're the Browns, right? The Browns aren't going to win 10 games. Like, what is this, 2007? Derek Anderson's not quarterback anymore. And the Browns take care of business. And getting it up for us here, we're not going to say a single player. It's the whole Browns organization. Major props to them. With the results of Monday Night Football, they are 1 game out of that division title. Everything worked for them.
The past few, ever since they've drafted Baker, you can kind of tell they're on the upswing. A good play from him this year, especially in recent games. A great coaching from Kevin Stefanski, Coach of the Year candidate. Their best roster that they've had since their rebirth, and they've just turned this whole franchise around. They're on their way to the first playoff berth since 2002.
And getting it down for us here is the New York Giants NFC East division title hopes. I mean, yes, they are 1 game out. However, what the Giants have to rely on to get there is they have to win games and Washington has to lose games. They have to rely on Washington losing to Matt Rule and the Carolina Panthers and the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the Eagles. So not an easy task here. Giants have looked well at times. You only can imagine what this team could do if they had Saquon Barkley there, and Daniel Jones, actually, for that matter. Moving on to Monday Night Football, and something that we rarely ever get to cover, but on this special edition of Tuesday's Movers, the Pittsburgh Steelers just lost to the Cincinnati Bengals, man. I said it in the beginning of the episode. That is wild. 2-10-1 took down 11-2. What happened?
What kind of team with playoff hopes would ever lose to the lowly Cincinnati Bengals? It's insane.
Who don't have Joe Burrow or Joe Mixon, and Tyler Boyd went out in that game with a concussion.
But I guess that's what happens with divisional games. It kind of gives me hope for the Jaguars beating the Colts in Week 17. But yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to watch the game yet. I was kind of sleeping. But I woke up just in time to see kind of the last couple minutes play out. Crazy result. And Ben Roethlisberger does look like he's kind of on the decline. Got nothing else to say about that.
And real quick, I'm going to defend anybody that's going to well, you didn't even watch the game. In his defense, the game was taking place when it was literally a.m. for him, like 3 a.m. And here's what it is. This was a trap game, man. They have the Colts and Browns remaining on their schedule. We can take care of the Bengals, Monday Night Football, whatever. We'll be fine. We get an extra day to prepare for them. We're good. We got to worry about those Colts and that defense. And getting it up here is just Giovanni Bernard, the Cincinnati Bengals as a whole. The defense came through. There was clutch plays left and right. Big up to them. And getting it down here, as we said, is Pittsburgh Steelers, losers of 3 straight. And they're 1 game away from losing their division title. 3 weeks ago, they were the clear front runners for the number 1 seed. And now they might end up as the 5 seed in the playoffs. And that is going to do it for us here on Second and Short in this week's edition, this special edition of Tuesday Movers. Be sure to click that subscribe button down below to stay up to date on everything that is Second and Short. Leave that like. It's the cheapest way to support us, and it makes us feel good inside when people like us. Not saying that that's what we're living for. And give us a comment down below on who impressed you and who disappointed in your eyes. And be sure to check us out on social media.
on Facebook, where we update every single episode that comes out, and also on Twitter, where we try to interact with you guys, get post stuff, polls, and everything. And then on Instagram, where we post not only every episode, but we have midweek posts, discussion points, news updates, fantasy stuff. Join our pick-em every week that I forgot to do this past Sunday, so sorry about that, all 12 of you who usually participate. And feel free to drop us a DM any time of day, whatever platform, whenever you like.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys for Fantasy Fridays. See ya.